Picture a map of North America. Imagine a crack appearing right at the 49th parallel, a crack that is swallowing $3 billion of trade every single day. Most people think they understand the border. They think it's just a line on a map. But on March 13, 2025, that line became a front line. When the President of the United States looked into the lens of a camera and declared, "We don't need them," he wasn't just talking about trade. He was pulling the plug on a century of shared prosperity. Welcome to Hidden Wealth Secrets. Today, we are going deeper than we ever have before. This is a 1-hour investigation into the machinery of a continent in crisis. We are going inside the refineries, the mines, the tech hubs, and the secret diplomatic cables that reveal a truth no one wants to admit. America and Canada are no longer just neighbors, they are Siamese twins, and someone just picked up a scalpel. Let's start with the lifeblood, energy. The rhetoric out of Washington is bold. Energy independence. But the hidden wealth secret, it's a mathematical lie. Every single morning, 4.3 million barrels of crude oil flow south from Canada. That is 63% of everything America imports. America produces more crude than Saudi Arabia, yes, but here is what they don't tell you. American refineries were engineered for Canada. Refineries in the Midwest, like Marathon's Robinson facility, are locked into Alberta's heavy crude. You cannot just swap it for Texas light oil. It would take billions of dollars and years of retooling. If that Canadian pipe is cut, those facilities go dark, not offline. Dark. Energy economists estimate that losing Canadian crude would push gasoline prices up by 70 cents to $1 per gallon within weeks. And natural gas tells an even more revealing story. New York, New England, and the upper Midwest depend on this for heating. When temperatures drop, Canadian supply is the difference between keeping the lights on and rolling blackouts. If Canada cuts the power, America freezes in the dark. Now look at the Pentagon. Deep inside their classified files is a list of 50 minerals essential for national security. America is 100% dependent on imports for 12 of them. Guess who has 21 of those 50 minerals? Canada. Uranium for your nuclear grid, potash for your food, rare earths for the F-35 stealth fighter. For years, the US has been trying to decouple from China. Canada was the fortress. Canada produces 10 out of the 12 NATO defense critical raw materials. Without Canadian potash, fertilizer production craters and food prices rise to levels we haven't seen in a century. Rare earth elements are essential for guided missile systems. China dominates 90% of the supply. The US strategy was to use Canadian mining to break that monopoly. But that strategy doesn't work if you're threatening to isolate your most reliable partner. One brief restriction paralyzed Detroit last year. Now imagine a total shutdown of the Canadian mineral pipeline. You aren't just losing a neighbor, you're losing the ability to defend your borders. In the auto world, we have a saying, you can't unscramble an egg. The integration between American and Canadian manufacturing isn't just close. It's a single vehicle assembled in Detroit might cross the border 7 times during production. Components from Ontario go to Michigan for subassembly, return to Canada for integration, and then back to the US for final assembly. This isn't inefficiency, it's optimization. Ontario alone supports 675,000 jobs tied to American markets. Tariffs don't just tax Canada, they dismantle Detroit. Every time a president threatens the border, the certainty required for multi-billion-dollar investments evaporates. When the president says America doesn't need Canadian cars, Detroit begins to bleed in real time. We are talking about the potential collapse of the entire North American automotive ecosystem, handing the keys of the future directly to China and Europe. So why did the relationship shatter? It started with a secret. While Washington was focused on domestic theater, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney was playing a different game. February 2026. Carney steps off a plane in Beijing. He emerges with a deal that changes everything. Canada allows 49,000 Chinese EVs into its market at a 6% tariff. In exchange, China opens the gates for Canadian agriculture. To the White House, this was a betrayal. But Carney's response in Davos was even more lethal. He declared, "The old order is over." He signaled that Canada would no longer be a vassal state to an unpredictable Washington. Most people take the grocery store for granted, but the hidden wealth secret here is found in the soil. Canada is the world's largest producer of potash. If you cut that cord, you're starving the American supply chain. And then there is fresh water. Canada holds 20% of the world's surface fresh water. As the American Southwest faces historic droughts, America needs Canadian water. Water isn't just a resource, it's sovereignty. If the relationship continues to fracture, the water weapon becomes the ultimate leverage. And finally, the money. Canadian pension funds are among the largest institutional investors in American infrastructure. From toll roads in Texas to real estate in Manhattan, if Canada decides to liquidate its US holdings, the shockwave would hit Wall Street like a tsunami. We are talking about capital flight that could destabilize interest rates and crush the already fragile American housing market. The era of the special relationship is over. Reality cares about supply and demand, not talking points. You want to know what happens when America says, "We don't need Canada"? Watch gas prices, watch electricity costs, watch the F-35 production lines. You are watching the slow unwinding of the most successful integration in human history. The wealth is moving, the power is shifting. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join us as we continue to track the invisible forces shaping our world. I am the voice of hidden wealth secrets. The truth is out there, buried under the headlines. We'll help you find it. Thanks for watching.